Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, SAP Analytics Cloud and On-Premise Hybrid. I am Megan Souza, Marketing Manager here with Dunn Solutions Group. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few items. This session will be recorded, and we will send out a link to the recording to everyone who registered within 24 to 48 hours after the presentation. We also have recordings of all previous webinars on our website in the event that you missed any in the past at dunnsolutions.com. Also, if you have any questions during today's presentation, we encourage you to submit them and we will address as many as we have time for at the end of the presentation. If the question is somewhat complex and we need more time to answer, we do promise to follow up with you for those. So let's take a look at today's agenda. I will begin by doing introductions to Dunn Solutions Group. I will then turn it over to today's presenter, Brandon Novi, our Analytics Project Lead here at Dunn Solutions. Brandon will discuss on-premise BI, BI and cloud hybrid solutions, cloud offerings. He will then go over a demo, and then we will go over technical information. So let's begin. Dunn Solutions is a digital commerce and business transformation consultancy focused on delivering velocity to our clients. Velocity is achieved by the combination of both speed and direction. Dunn Solutions helps our clients achieve speed by automating business processes and direction using advanced analytics. Our team aligns with organizations to optimize their unique processes and helps them discover the most profitable routes to business success. Dunn Solutions has a long history of delivering innovative business technology solutions. We are headquartered just outside of Chicago and have offices in Minneapolis, Raleigh, and Bangalore, India. Our offerings fall into two practice areas. Our application development solutions feature portals, e-commerce, content-managed websites, mobile application development, and custom application development. Our analytics solutions feature analytics and BI platforms, as well as data warehouses and data integration. We are authorized SAP, Liferay, and Microsoft training providers and offer classroom, virtual, private, and custom options. We believe training is important because once we deliver a solution, we want to make sure that those who need it know how to use it and maintain it. Our clients, some of which are included here, are a combination of Fortune 500, mid-market companies, government agencies, and nonprofits across all verticals. About 80% of our business are commercial clients and 20% are nonprofit and government. Our analytics and the cloud service offerings include data lakes, forecasting models, retail analytics, as well as migration services, and a full range of data warehouse services. We are an authorized SAP Gold partner and have been a top-level partner for nearly 20 years. As an SAP authorized training provider, we help companies nationwide maximize their technology investments and offer public, private, virtual, and custom courses. Our public classrooms are located in Minneapolis and Raleigh. Please contact us for any SAP training needs your company may have. We also offer a global delivery model that gives us the flexibility to build teams that are best suited to our clients' timelines, budgets, and preferences. Projects that use offshore resources are always led by someone local and US-based. Thank you for allowing me to introduce you to Dunn Solutions. I will now turn over the presentation to Brandon. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, should be showing my screen now. So as Megan mentioned, today's agenda, I'll be discussing a little recap of on-premise business intelligence. You probably have an on-premise solution of your own. Then I'll be going into a hybrid solution, talking about combining your on-prem with the cloud, and also why you'd want to go to the cloud. What offerings does the cloud give you? And then I'll show you a few demos of some scenarios where you can use the cloud to help improve what you have with your on-premise technology. And then at the very end, I'll throw in a little bit of technical information for those of you who who want that little bit of extra tech stuff. So as Megan mentioned, my name is Brandon Novi. I work as a project lead in the analytics group of Dunn Solutions Group. I'm also an accredited SAP associate and instructor. I do a lot of consulting work. I write reports, I do back-end work, I also do installations. And not only that, I'm also an instructor. I teach several of the business intelligence tools such as web intelligence, Lumira. Now we've got the new Lumira Discovery and Designer. I also teach the Universe tools as well. So let's just jump in and talk about a little bit of a recap of an on-premise business intelligence. Nearly everyone has some form of on-premise BI solution, and you probably are aware of their limitations. One thing, scaling up can be a challenge. It can require additional hardware and staffing costs, and it can take weeks just to get that hardware. You have to fill out paperwork, get approvals, or even if you have that hardware sitting on a shelf, you still have to find some time and some teams when they can go and install that and set it up for you. And also, oftentimes people are locked into one solution. Going from one tool to a completely different tool can take weeks and months. And also, you may not even want to leave your solution because you have over a decade of history. You've been perfecting everything in your on-premise solution. Your metrics are perfect, they always work. Why reinvent the wheel? So what can the cloud offer? By using a hybrid solution, you can take the capabilities of the cloud, such as being able to expand and scale, and continue using your on-premise data and your on-premise models. You can keep using the stuff you've been building over the years. However, the cloud-based, as I mentioned, will allow you to scale as needed. You can add more people, more subscriptions as you need to, and it is subscription-based licensing. So for example, if you had maybe a big on-premise server, you might buy maybe just for 10 people, thinking, well, maybe we'll go to 100 people eventually. You've just got that server sitting there on-premise, not really being utilized. Or with the cloud, you just pay for what you need. If you just need to give 10 people access to the cloud, you just subscribe to 10 licenses, and you can always increase those licenses over time. And you have zero capital investments. My example with the server, you're not just buying some big box that sits there barely used. You just, again, are paying for what you need. So what might be stopping you from moving to the cloud? As I mentioned in the past, changing platforms can be costly and time consuming. It can take months just going around trying to figure out what content to move from one tool to a competitor's tool. And even if you bring in an outside consulting firm to help you with the migration, you still have to pull in people inside the business who make those decisions to say, yes, move those 5 reports. Oh, no, don't move those reports. It can take a lot of time to move from different solutions. And also, as mentioned, your existing investment on-prem may have years or decades of metrics that you have to rewrite. So if you are using a hybrid solution with the SAP Analytics Cloud, these are no longer barriers. So instead of going from one solution to another, you are adding on to what you already have. How does that work? Here's a little overview of the SAP Analytics strategy and solutions. In the green, we have an on-premise solution. Here we happen to have SAP Business Objects Enterprise, which is on-premise. It's been, let's say this example here, it's been used for several years. It's very mature. And then we can connect it to the SAP Cloud Analytics Cloud solution using hooks that allow it to go to bring in either import data or bring in live data. And you can use the great cloud tools available. Some great things about the cloud, all the analytics are in one product, and it's all browser-based. That means you just go open up your browser and you can start using the tool. There's nothing to download. You don't need to get permission to download software. You don't even need to download Java. It's all works inside of a browser. It's consumer-grade user interface, and it's high-performance real-time platform. It's really powerful. And again, because it's subscription-based, you pay for how much you need to use. On top of that, there's the SAP Digital Boardroom, which is a really great way to show off using the cloud. And I'll get to that in a few minutes. So you can use just the regular cloud to create stories, which you can share with your colleagues. You can use the Digital Boardroom to interact with it with a big group of people. Or there's also a mobile version, SAP Analytics Cloud. It has its own application, mobile application that connects to the Analytics Cloud, not just for looking at stories, but also for collaborating with those stories as well. So I want to discuss a little bit about the SAP Analytics Cloud portfolio. as I mentioned, it is a subscription-based software as a service, and let's say you just want to work with business intelligence. You can subscribe. Maybe you just want to kind of dip your toe in the water. Maybe subscribe to 10 licenses. You could subscribe to 10 business intelligence licenses and just use that part of the tool. Let's say you've been using it for a few weeks, maybe a few months, and you say, I really like this. Let's start using the predictive capabilities of the tool. But maybe you don't want to put all 10 people in predictive. Maybe you just want to put a few people. And you can do that. You can say, okay, we'll have 4 of those people will now have predictive licenses. So then anyone who has a predictive license can do predictive analytics and business intelligence in that same tool. And it's all one tool based, so those people would come back in on a Monday and they just have a few more options available that they didn't have before once they have the new subscription. On top of that, there's also a planning subscription, so you can do planning again right inside the cloud, same tool, and people who have a license to do planning can also do predictive and business intelligence work as well. There's another way you can access the cloud through the SAP Digital Boardroom. And again, it's all based in that cloud software. It's a really great way to show it off. In this example here, we have 3 television screens. The idea is you could have 3 screens or just a giant ultra-wide screen, maybe on the wall in a boardroom, a call center, or maybe a factory. And people can literally just walk up, and you have touch enabled, you can just click right on that screen and have it change the metrics. I'll get to that in a little more detail later on. That's also available with this product. So how does the workflow, how do you build something inside the SAP Analytics Cloud? First of all, you prepare and model your data. You can either bring in your on-premise data, like we'll be doing in a little bit, or you can even just bring in an Excel spreadsheet or CSV file if you just want to just kind of look at some quick analytics. But you can, as I mentioned, you can connect to your on-premise data through not only SAP, so you could connect to a BW or HANA system, or I'll be showing you connecting to a universe, as well as some other non-SAP sources such as Microsoft SQL Server. Once your data is in, the SAP Cloud, it does support linking of aggregated data, so you can link one data set with another, put it together, and it also will do calculations between different data sets. So you can mix and you can do aggregation and calculations on those different data sets, as I mentioned. Once you have your data in, you can visualize it using stories, again, all built into this browser-based system. And I repeat this again, nothing to download, it's all in your browser. You can add simple location analytics, and what I really love are all these different charts and analytics. They have several types of mapping analytics where you can add, for example, a list of your stores, or maybe you want a list of coffee shops, list of airports. You can grab those and upload them. They'll show up in your map, and you can see where they are related to other things. So you could, for example, see what coffee shops are near your store if you're trying to do some sort of cross-marketing. That is all available. And you can also personalize your dashboards to your own use. Lastly, there are different ways to share. So not only just going in and looking at a story, you can also, there's more interactive ways to share your stories. There's a collaboration feature. So you can open up a story and maybe there's some value you don't quite like. So you could write within the tool, start writing a little conversation saying, hey, can you look at this number? Send it over to 2 or 3 people, and they'll instantly get an email, and they can go right into that story, and you can all look and collaborate with each other on those numbers, and you can take action. There's also the ability to control what people can see in your story. So you could build a story for everyone, but then somebody could come in from the East Coast, it could look at their security, and they'd just be able to see information about the East Coast, where someone from the South would come in with the exact same story and just see their metrics for the South. So let's jump into our first scenario. Let's say we have this company, we have Smith & Robbins Hardware, and right now they're running their entire business off of spreadsheets. And we've got 3 different people we're going to be talking about. We have a finance analyst, Jennifer, her boss, her manager, finance manager, Roberto, and then the vice president of finance, Carrie. So these 3 people, they just live and breathe spreadsheets, and they're looking for something to make their lives a little bit easier. So what's Jennifer's life today? So again, she's the finance analyst. she needs to make sales projections every month. And so she spends days creating spreadsheets and emailing them to others. You probably have people at your company that you're not allowed to bother that first week of the month or maybe even the last week of the month. You probably can think of someone right now. And this is what Jennifer has to do, create those spreadsheets. And then every now and then those projections may change after she sent them out. So then she has to go and create new spreadsheets and email them out. And sometimes, and you know how email can get all cluttered up. So people will call her saying, hey, your numbers don't look right. She'll have to get on the phone, talk to the person, and find out, oh, yes, you're looking at the old email from 10 o'clock. You need to look at the newer email from 1 o'clock that same day. And just a lot of awkward conversations trying to make sure people are looking at the right numbers. So how could she get beyond this to do something, make something work better for her? Let's go ahead to our first demo, and let's see how the SAP Analytics Cloud can make Jennifer's life a little more productive. So I'm going to go over to my browser. Now, even though I'm presenting this like I'm Jennifer, I'm logging in as my own account. And this landing page is customized to me. So if someone else were to come in, they could customize this landing page for themselves. I have a list of the recent stories I've been looking at. I also have a chart from one of my stories that I need to use. This is very helpful to me. It's showing me sales revenue per date for the last year. And it's not just a picture of a chart, it's fully interactive. So without even having to go into the story, I can dig deeper into my numbers. Maybe I just want to look at the last 3 months. I can play around with this. And maybe it's a little too small. I can make this full screen. There we go. Oh, I can really see that May 2014, May just wasn't doing really well. I can really analyze my numbers quicker. If I need to, I don't even have to know what story this came from. I can just quickly hop into that story. And I can view more. I have multiple pages. I can just hop between this and get more information, again, without having to dig in and find that story. Let's backtrack to that main page. And the story I want to look at is called Jennifer's Story. So this is something that Jennifer's been working on. It's not perfect, it's not quite done. I can see there's some issues. The bar chart's kind of in a funny order. Line chart looks good. I got a map in the bottom left corner of the world, and I can see different locations. I have my stores, and I can see overall how these different countries are doing. Get back to that in a little bit. But I've had this black space in the bottom right, and I'm leaving that for something. Now, if I look at my data, so as a developer, Jennifer can go in. She has developer rights, so she can go look at her data as well. And she wants to add something about SKU description. But looking at the data right here, we don't have any SKU description data, so we're going to have to pull it in from our on-premise business objects universe. So the first time, Jennifer would have to go to her list of connections, and she could bring in a connection from different SAP sources or Salesforce, Google BigQuery. Also bring in a live data as well. Now, just so you don't have to sit and watch me build things, I've gone ahead and I've created this connection to one of my universes right here. So then the next thing we'll do is I need to bring it in as a model. So I'll go and create my model. Or I can go and bring in my data source. And then from here, I can here's my connection to my data sources. And I have different universes I can pick from. Again, just for the sake of, so you have to sit and watch me build things, I've gone ahead and I've created a model called eFashion, which I'm going to use in the story. So let me go back to that story. And here's another way I can get to it. I don't have to keep going back to that home page. Here I have Jennifer's story. Let me open that up. And I'm going to go back to my data view. And I'm going to add that new model I created, that e-fashion model. While I'm in here, I could also import an Excel spreadsheet or go to connect to Google Drive. But since this is pre-built, just want to show you what else is available. I'm going to go grab my e-fashion connection, my e-fashion model. Let me just try that again. Oh, there it goes. I was not being patient. I apologize. So it brought in all my measures. I'm going to click on some of my dimensions. There's that SKU description I needed. And I can actually, without even going into the story, I can just click through these different metrics and I can analyze these just to see what I may want to actually bring into my story. Now, in this scenario, I happen to know I want sales revenue and SKU description, but it allows me to just analyze and kind of look through my data to see what is available. If I had a prompt, I could also enter that prompt information here, but this universe doesn't have a prompt. So I'm good to go. I'm going to switch back to my story. And I'll add a chart. I want it in the bottom right corner. The tool, Cloud's putting it in the bottom left, but no problem. I can just move it up here. Let me just move this a little bit. This would be probably a great time to ask for a nice big, maybe 4K television, do some development on. And I'm going to go click back on my properties. And I have these different chart types to pick from. So I could add another bar chart or column chart. A lot of these are pretty similar to what you get in some on-premise tools. But I want to talk about some things that are very special. A time series chart is kind of like a line chart, but it adds more features to it like you see above. So a time series allows you, it automatically adds these features where you can pick a different time frame, or you can also just scroll between your time down here as well. You can also navigate up and down. So instead of looking at the month, I could look at the entire year or down to the day. That all comes with the time series chart. Now, the one I really want to show is this indicator. I want to show you something with numeric point. In a lot of tools, the numeric point may just be a number, but here's what I really love with this, using a numeric point in the cloud. I'm going to add a measure. I'm going to look at my sales revenue. It's important to me. And while that's loading, I also want to add a trellis. Because right now it's just giving me my entire sales revenue, but I want to add a trellis to slice this up by SKU description. And voila, I can see I now have different numbers for feather boa, necklace, etc. I can continue playing around with this if I wanted to. Now, if I want to see how this might look on a big screen, and click the present button, and it'll stretch it out so I lose my other toolbars and kind of see how it's going to look on a full screen. I also have the ability to add some other chart types. So I showed you all those chart types, but if I wanted to, I could add just a table. I could add an input control to give me a little more control over what people can see, give my end users control. I want to also talk about just some of these different items that are available, these components. We see a geomap down below. I'm not going to go through all these, but some things that are very useful. A clock. Why would I want to add a clock? Maybe you have this on a giant television, you're hiding the Windows bar. You have a nice big clock in the corner so people can see what time it is during a meeting. An RSS reader would also be good for that scenario where your story is always just shown on the big screen. You can have news trickle through while people are looking at the analytics as well. And we have a couple more things, web pages, or if you were using planning, you could also add planning information as well. We can also add comments. So maybe numbers, this is really low, this may, so I could add a little comment. I can place a comment right on my story. And then people know, oh, hey, there's a comment to look for. Just disappeared. Now, there are a couple more things I want to change. As I mentioned earlier, I wasn't happy with the way the order of this. But actually, I just want to have the top 5. So let me go and change this to a top 5. And now I just see my top 5 lines. And something I can also do that I couldn't do normally with just a regular line chart is I can actually add a forecast. So I can go and click on Quick Forecast. And Cloud will analyze my data and use an algorithm to help predict the future. This is a quick forecast, so it quickly estimated the next 7 months of data. So I can see that in January, it looks like we'll be making about 6.34 million. Ooh, July 7. But it also gives me, in the middle of my screen, there's a white box that gives me the upper confidence bound and the lower. So, hey, if things are great, I'll make about 7.5 million in January, but I should be cautious. Maybe we'll only make about 5.10 million. And I can just go through each of my different months and see that value right there. So I'm happy with my work. I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to go and log out. So how did the cloud help Jennifer? She can make projections right inside of the cloud that others can see right away. And so she had that projection with the time series. And all those projections are in one story. And any changes to that backend data would be automatically shown in the story. It's one version of the truth. Instead of having multiple spreadsheets, people can just come in and look at that story to see the information instead. So next, let's go to her manager, Roberto. He also lives and breathes spreadsheets. He uses them in a slightly different way. He uses them for what-if scenarios. Now, at Smith & Robbins, there's been this kind of this one spreadsheet that's been going around. It's this big one. It uses a macro and has a lot of complex logic built into it. And the problem is that while it's really powerful, it's very, very difficult to add metrics to it. The thing's 10 years old, has been created, just been going through several iterations of Excel. And anytime the IT team upgrades Excel, it's kind of a nightmare. They just upgraded to Excel 2016, and there is that couple of months where some people were on the old one and the new one, and anyone who had to use the macro is just kind of a nightmare for a while. Hey, things are good now, but in the interim, Roberto's still not completely happy with what he has, because even with that spreadsheet with the macro, by the time he receives his data, it's usually the 5th business day. So his data is already 5 days old. And it may take him a few days to find what he needs and then still send that out. And we're talking business days, so it could already be about the middle of the month before he passes along the knowledge he needs with his what-if scenarios. So how could he use the cloud, the same tool, to make himself more productive? So I'm going to log in. Again, we'll pretend I'm Roberto this time. Now, let's say that some time has passed since Jennifer worked on her story, and right now. So Jennifer and Roberto have been working. He really liked what Jennifer built. He had some changes for her to make. So Jennifer made those changes and submitted to this to Roberto, and he really loves it. So he's going to take a look at this one called Jennifer's completed story. I've got a little piece. Let me just delete that. Let me log in again. So what they discussed together is he liked the 4 metrics, he liked the 4 visualizations, but he wanted them sliced up a little bit. Instead of having 2 and 2, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, they decided to split this up into 2 different pages, 2 different tabs. So the map is very big now. It's on the first page. People love the map, and so we wanted people to see it right away. And then the metrics, people also really loved the way that they could see these big numbers and they could scroll through to see everything. And they moved the other 2 visualizations onto this summary tab. So we can see here this changes here. Here's that forecast, and it is updating. Now, Roberto's been tasked to also kind of see how this will look on different devices. So he can quickly click on Device Preview, and he can see, now I'm demonstrating this from a laptop, so I can see how it look on a laptop, but I can also go and say, you know, I've kind of been trying to get my boss to buy me a 4K television. So I can see, oh yeah, if I have a 4K, if I simulate it being on a 4K resolution, oh, I can see all the metrics at once. Oh, won't that be great to have one of those? And well, maybe I can just put it in the conference room, but I'd love to maybe get one for myself. And besides the web, I can also see how it'll look on a phone. So I have some metrics that'll show up on my phone or tablet. And maybe I'm not completely happy, but at least I can see, oh, okay, at least I know how it will look. So I can go talk to Jennifer and say, hey, Jennifer, I've been looking at the tablet mode and phone mode, and I can give her some suggestions to make it look even better on these devices. So let me close out of this. And Roberto's second task is to do this predictive analytics. So I'm going to go to the data view. I want to look at the best run public data set. And I can do analytics predictive right here with the Smart Discovery. So I'll click on this new Smart Discovery tab. And I want to see what is affecting my sales revenue. So I'm going to click on sales revenue here. And I'm going to look through my dimensions. Maybe there's something I want to exclude. I can see I'm including my sales revenue, what I want to exclude. And I'll say, you know what, I don't want to exclude anything at this time. I'm just going to bring in everything and see what affects my sales revenue. So I'm going to click on Run. And I mentioned earlier, I'm not always the patient type. So I could actually go back to this first tab while it's crunching away. And I can see what I have available. Well, I may want to look at my lines. Oh, this popped up at the bottom. Your discovery is complete. Okay, so I can switch back to my discovery 1, and I can see the results. So quantity sold is the biggest influencer of sales revenue. Well, that makes sense. The next biggest one is category. Let me click on category, and I can see, based on my average sales revenue, that t-shirts are selling the best, and then jewelry, and then I have this other category below it. I can quickly scroll through this. I can also switch between average and count. I like this. I can see, okay, cardigans. I can see the difference in numbers between below average and above average. Switch back to average. And that's some information, some insights about my data. So about 19% of my records are above average. 26 of my records with this one category of pocket shirts and other and turtleneck are about 26% average. So good, I've got some nice information I can look through here. Now let's say I select a second key influencer, maybe manager, and it does some more work for me down below. Ooh, I can see, and this one's really dark blue. And if I click on it, I can see, making this much average for t-shirts from, looks like John and Kiran, they're doing a really good job. I'll see what they're doing, try to figure out why they're selling so many shirts. Are they just 2 really good managers? Or this is where I could bring in some more information. Maybe, oh, maybe it's where they're located. Could be, if I brought in maybe latitude and longitude information, I can see, oh yeah, that's the part of the country that's really hot, and some people are buying t-shirts, so we weren't expecting it to get so hot all of a sudden. I have a few more pieces available for me in the discovery area for my predictive analytics. I have a list of 232 unexpected values. If I click on that, it takes me to a table where it is giving me my outliers. So in this example, I have hats and gloves and scarves in New York. Looks like I was predicted to have a revenue about 153, but I only made about 1,200. So I can kind of go through here and see what's really different. I also have an outlier down below, for example, jewelry in Paris. It looks like a big number, but it is a 16% difference. We're expecting about 450,000, but we're only making a little less than 400,000. So you can give Ellen a call, find out what was going on that day. It's a behavior personnel, so it's something that's awful happened that day that we didn't make as much money as we were expecting. And lastly, I can go up to simulation, and I could get look at my overall sales revenue. I don't want to look at accessories necessarily. I may want to look at my sweat t-shirts. Ooh, I can see, okay, it went up 400 by switching from accessories to sweat t-shirts. I can change the manager, but what I really want to change are some of these values. So discount, what if I change my discount to 44,000 overall? Okay, well then I lose that much money. So I can kind of go up and down and just see what happens to my revenue. And I can always refresh my data set, or if I wanted to tweak it, I can always click my light bulb and I can always go back and change the discovery. Now, scrolling back to the top, there we go. Let me press cancel here. And go back to my discovery. I wanted to show you one last thing, which is really powerful with the predictive analytics inside of the SAP Analytics Cloud, which is the ability to share your discoveries. So let's say I like what I see here with this chart. I can go and I can copy it, or I can copy it to a new page. And then it switches out of the predictive screen to my story, and I now have a new page that has the information, which I can then share inside of the story. And I could make a copy of this. I could call it Roberto's story. And then I now have another copy, and Jennifer can keep doing her work. Or we can finally come back and collaborate, so we'll just have one story again at the end. So let me log out. So what were the benefits for Roberto with the cloud? He can now create what-if scenarios whenever he wants, right, with his data right in one tool. And he can also share his discoveries in stories. He doesn't have to write up a little email or try to explain information. He can just quickly add it to another story and share it with other people. Lastly, before we get on to my final demo for Carrie, I want to talk a little bit more about that digital boardroom. So a digital boardroom, this is really powerful. This is just a really great way to show off and dig into your analytics. Having just giant touch screens, you can either have 3 touch-enabled screens that all work together in tandem. The abilities, you can go click on the first screen that these people are doing in my little picture here, and it will change the second and third screens as you choose it to, all work together. You can also purchase an ultra-wide screen, so hey, if you kind of wanted one of those, it will work. It'll slice up your ultra-wide screen into 3 sections. Or if you're not quite ready for that, you can display this on a single monitor where you can swipe between different screens, or you could just design it to work with a single monitor as well that is a touch screen. It does work with a mouse, but the benefit is being able to just go up and click on things and just watch your results change on the fly. It's really powerful. So going back to Carrie, she is the vice president, and she's not so much of a spreadsheet person as a PowerPoint person. So she lives and breathes in PowerPoint because she's doing a lot of presentations. She must manually pull data into a slide deck, though, all the time. You may have done this yourself, where you have to pull in the data. And even the last 30 minutes before her presentation, she's still crunching her numbers because she wants the absolute latest and greatest, and maybe there's something bad that happened that morning, so she wants to pull that into her slide to talk about it. And not only is she trying to get all the data together, but she's always trying to predict what people are going to think. She's got a couple people, she's been doing this long enough, she knows they're always going to say the same thing. But there's always that one woman always trying to throw a curveball, and she doesn't always she's not always able to answer, so she has to write down the person's answer, get back to her, and half the time the woman said, I don't remember why I asked you that question. So how could the cloud help her dealing with those people where she has to ask a question and she doesn't quite know how to respond? We're going to log into the cloud again to see how Carrie can use the cloud to be more productive with her presentations. Now, Carrie's not going to look at a story. She's going to jump in and use the Digital Boardroom. And here she has an agenda set up for the end of August. And she's going on at 10:30. I haven't mentioned her colleague Gary. Her colleague Gary is the vice president of sales, and he also really loves using the cloud. So they collaborate. So as soon as she's done with her presentation, she'll hand it over to Gary to do his presentation, all within this tool. No more of the like, did you get my PowerPoint slide? Let me email it to you. I got my USB stick. It's all right here, ready to go at 11. So right now I'm going to go and open this up for Carrie. I made a little change before the webinar. I apologize. That keeps popping up. It's basically telling me I made a change and I forgot to save my work. So this is familiar from earlier today. This is what Jennifer had started and Roberto worked with her to polish. If you recall, though, with the original story, it had 2 pages. It had a geography page and a summary page. Well, in this scenario, Carrie just wants to show page 1 right away. So she's going to go and talk to everyone about page 1. Everyone loves this map. Even the executives, they love seeing the map. And so rather than having just a picture of a map and some numbers, she can go in front of a room of people and talk about the map. So she can click on the United States, drill down into it a little bit further. And they're only currently doing business in a few states, but that can always increase in the future. I can even go down further, down to county, for example. But then let me zoom back up. And let's say that Carrie's finished talking about what she wants to say about the sales in the United States. She wants to go over and talk about something over in Europe, because someone asked her a question saying, well, how's Germany doing? And can you compare it with those other, we want you to compare Germany and some of its other countries nearby, because they're not doing so well, they're all in the blue. Well, which one of them is doing the best? So in front of the whole room of people, Carrie can go grab this polygon filter, highlight all these blue countries, kind of skipping over France and Italy, and then add a filter. And I did include Italy. I have to redraw that, but I can see here, if I do include Italy, Germany and Italy are doing pretty well. Netherlands are doing all right, they're kind of in the middle. where Brussels and Switzerland, they're not doing so hot. So I can see Germany and Italy are doing really well compared to the other countries nearby. I also have the ability, so let's say they're done questioning Carrie about the map. We also have the different metrics over on the right, which again, I can scroll through right in front of the team. And maybe someone has a question about this bell necklace. Say, well, why is that number so low? I can at any time right click on it and I can go to Explorer. I can click there. But let me actually go to the next page. Let me step back a little bit. Let me go, and the equivalent of saying hit next in PowerPoint, there's a nice little button here. I can click on that. It's, again, the tools keep warning me that I forgot to save something. That's my own fault. And maybe instead I'm going to do some work on this page right here. So here I have that summary page, and this is that predictive page that Roberto just built. Again, we're going in the future a little bit. It's a little bit polished up, but notice instead of one page, I have summary and predictive together. So they're coming in as two lanes instead of two pages. So I can switch between this first page and the second page. This is the information with the t-shirts and jewelry that we just saw recently. But let me go back to that first piece. And maybe someone asked a question about those sweat t-shirts. So when do we sell the most of those? So I can right click and I can say Explore. I can open up Explore and I can dig into the data. So I can say, well, I just want to look at my sweat t-shirts. I can add some date information. I want to look at date. And I can just go and compare a couple of metrics. Maybe I want to compare Q3 and Q4. And I really just want to see those sweat t-shirts, so I can filter just to show those. So now I'm just seeing those two, Q3, Q4. I can dig in further. Oh, okay, it looks like Q4 had better numbers. I can drill in further. And right in this meeting, I can drill into these numbers and get answers. So I can see that it looks like on October 3rd, we sold the most t-shirts. I can respond right on the fly with a group of people. I can also modify, again, with a group of people, my sales graph. Now, I do want to remove my forecast because it's designed at right here at the month level. I don't want it to sit here and crunch and crunch. So what I want to do is go down to the day level. And if I go down to day, I've got a lot of information, so I can zoom in closer. And it looks like December 18th, we had really good sales December 18th, compared back to November 30th. It is about a week away from Christmas. That could be why we're sold well, but I can always answer someone when they say, okay, what was the best shopping day in December? I can say the 18th. And lastly, I can go to my second page I was just showing where I have those results that Roberto had figured out using predictive. And I can see, oh, okay, our average for t-shirts is 92, jewelry is 43. And if I click on the two of them, I can actually see a difference of about 48,000 with about 52% difference between the two of those metrics. I can just click and get that on the fly. Now, let's say I'm finished with my presentation and everyone is happy. I can pass it on to Gary. I'll click the next button. It goes back to the main agenda where now Gary can come up to the front of the room. He can take over and he can show his part. So how did the SAP Analytics Cloud, how could it help Carrie? With this, the data is always the most current. She's not always scrambling the 30 minutes before the presentation to make sure her data is up to date. And she can analyze questions on the fly. So when people try to throw her curveballs, she can go in and explain exactly why the numbers look the way they do. So a little technical piece just to talk about. here's the overall Analytics Cloud software as a service platform, and we just talked just about a little bit of this entire tool. We talked about pulling in an on-premise universe, so we had our on-premise business objects universe. We grabbed eFashion and pulled that in, mixed it and combined it with some other data we already had. And then with GenStory, we went in and we talked about displaying that on-premise data inside of a story where we had the list of the different SKU descriptions because that was not available. And then passed over to Roberto, who took the data, he kind of played with the different views to see it looked on a television, giant television or a tablet. And then he went in and started looking at the data behind the scenes. He did some predictive analytics. He found the t-shirts and jewelry were selling really well. And then he added it to the story so then he could pass it on to his boss, Carrie. And then Carrie was able to use the story that Jennifer created and Roberto modified and he added on to it. And she was able to use the parts of the story she wanted to see using the SAP Digital Boardroom. And as I mentioned, she sliced it up. Even though something had 2 pages, she was able to display 1 page, display exactly what she wanted to see, and she can mix and match as she wanted to. So in summary, the SAP Analytics Cloud, it's a one cloud-based solution that provides everything. Business intelligence, planning, and predictive. It's all in that one interface. If you use the hybrid design, it lets you continue using your on-premise BI platform. So again, you're not going from X to Y. You keep using what you're using and you extend it into the cloud by using the cloud technology. And then the real thing I love, kind of like icing on the cake, is that digital boardroom, just showing off your data, not sitting waiting for the 10 a.m. on Monday report, just going in and looking at data right away on the fly, interactively with a big group of people, great for meetings, or if also great for factories, call centers. So if something's horrible, you can see it pop up right away and you can go and start working on finding a solution to that problem rather than just waiting for somebody to tell you. It'll tell you before you get like a paper or report. So how can Dunn Solutions help you? Please contact Dunn Solutions and we can help you get subscriptions to SAP Analytics Cloud, and we can also help you connect it to your on-premise BI solution. Please contact us at info@dunnsolutions.com. Thank you very much. My name is Brandon Novi. Oh, yes, and I'll take the questions at this time.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon. Feel free, everyone, to type in your questions now, and I will take those in order that I receive them. Okay, looks like the first one right now is, what version of business objects do I need to connect to on-premise?
With on-premise, if you want to connect to, say, a universe, you can use, you just need 4.1 SP5 to do an import, so you can import your data. And if you want to use a live connection, the 4.2 SP4 does live connections. Imports are great. If maybe your data just changes maybe once a day, you can import at 5 a.m. But if you want to have data as it was 5 minutes ago, you'd want to be on a later version, that 4.2 SP4, to bring in that live connection.
Okay, very good. We also have another question. We have BW and HANA on-premise. Do we need business objects as an intermediate server?
You would only need business objects if you were using a universe to maybe massage the data. But if you have Bex or HANA and you're perfectly happy going to a Bex query or a HANA view, you can actually connect. You can connect straight to your on-premise BW or HANA and skip the business objects server if you so choose to.
Okay. Can I upload Lumira into the cloud?
As of today, you cannot directly upload Lumira into the Analytics Cloud. However, SAP has a newer tool called the SAP Analytics Hub, where you can marry Cloud and Lumira and some other content, some other on-premise content. You can marry that together. Again, that's what the SAP Analytics Hub. That'd be a great another webinar in the future just to talk about that hub.
That does sound good. Okay, looks like those are it for now. If anyone else has any more questions, please feel free to submit those. We're going to hang out for a few minutes just in case, but if not, we hope that everyone has a great day. Thank you, Brandon, for your presentation, and thank you all for joining us. We hope to see you at future presentations.
Thank you.